But I have a terrible memory. You're probably like, with as much as you talk in public, you're probably really good at.
No, I'm an idiot. Hey guys, what's up? Drew here over at RevHiker Outdoors, and I am with my friend Will, and he's got a website, he's got a YouTube channel, he's got like blogs, he's got podcasts, he's got all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna put all of his links down in the description below. So go ahead and check him out. His thing now is called The Adventurous Gentleman, and actually he interviewed me a little while ago, and I think that'll be up pretty soon, right?
Today. If you're watching this on the 13th of November, you can go listen to it as of now.
Yeah, and I'll put a link for that as well, so you guys can go check that out. We talked about ultralight hiking and knives and just outdoors stuff in general. So I had a lot of fun, and now he wanted me to come back up, and we wanted to do a video about kid carriers, baby carriers, whatever you want to call them. And Will, you've got one.
I've got one, yep.
Right now, and one on the way.
That's right. I have a 17-month-old boy weighing in the mid to high 20-pound range. So it's a pretty good load to carry around, and then a newborn coming in late December. So
yeah, so that might be a Christmas present for you then.
Yeah, pretty excited.
That'd be cool. Yeah, so Will uses these things. You know, he's taken them out west, right? Did some trips out west. Did some hiking and some backpacking out there. Did some trips out that way, and just around here as well. And he wants to have two of them, obviously, so he can take both the kids when that time comes. My time for putting kids in these types of carriers is over. As you guys know, you've seen my two girls actually go hiking with me. I started making them actually walk themselves when they were 3, because I wasn't having any of that. But I have used these in the past, and so we've got 3 of them for you. We've got well, Will, why don't you just tell us what models they are, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, so we have the big 3 here of kid carriers. We've got the Osprey Poco AG Plus, the Kelty Kid Carrier, or is it Kid Comfort 3, and then I think it's the Deuter Kid Carrier 3. I don't know, there's something like that. They're all 3s, those two.
And it is Deuter, right? Because you met a Deuter. German guy when you were out west.
Yeah, I did. I was calling it Deuter. And a guy who sounded of a German accent came up to me and was like, "Oh, that's a really nice Deuter you got there." And I was like, "Yes,
it is.
That's what I've been calling it too."
Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention. Will is standing on a massive slab of rock. He is not gigantic, and I'm not tiny. We're actually like the same height. We're both pretty much 6 foot. But he's on a rock. I just didn't want you guys to think that I was tiny. I know
I'm a huge man.
Yeah. I know when I met Cliff out in Seattle and I did some videos with him, he actually was like 6'5", so he actually was giant. But we're the same. I didn't want you guys thinking I was that short.
I bring this rock with me everywhere I go.
Yeah. So first off, the biggest thing with these, at least in my mind, is kid being secure in there.
Yeah.
And then really comfort for you too. Because if it's great to take your kids along, and I'm a big proponent of it, but if this thing is killing you, it's not worth it.
Yeah, when you're selecting a kid carrier, things I was really taking into consideration, because we were traveling out west and we hit Zion, Grand Canyons, and a few other national parks with our son, was one, we wanted something that obviously my wife and I could both wear, split the load a little bit. 2 was the kid's comfort and how good the cockpit is for the child.
Yep.
Also, how portable is it, how durable, how comfortable, all that kind of stuff I would say is the fit of it, if you will. And so I decided, after looking around, trying to find some reviews on things like this, that I would just scour Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and all this stuff. And between that, I was actually able to find these all slightly used at a really good price.
Now, when you say a really good price, I mean, just up front, and you guys will be able to check these out in Amazon stores on both his thing and my thing. But either way, these are all within, what, a tenner?
Yeah,
of $300.
Yeah, they're all right around the $300 range.
And you were able to get all 3 of these for
$300.
$300.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. I paid around $100 for some, a little under for another, and then I think it was $125 for this guy. But I mean, if you can find them online, go ahead. It took me a few months to get them all, but I think it was worth it. We're gonna have 2 kids, so it's nice to have the extra pack. But getting into it, we'll start over here with the Osprey. I'd say this is probably my favorite pack out of the lot, even though it's the newest to me. One thing is, when we were trying them on and I was messing around with them and drew a little bit, these are the best load lifters you're going to find out of all of these packs. So if you're really looking to distribute that load onto your hips, Osprey by far does the best job of getting that weight off your shoulders.
Yeah.
The other thing
I
is,
think they had the most comfortable waist belt too.
yeah,
At least, for me, that was the easiest. I don't know. It felt the most comfortable.
yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Osprey makes all their packs are really good,
Yeah.
really comfortable. The other thing is, and Drew can tell you a little more about the technical reason behind this stuff, is the adjustability of the straps is super easy. All you got to do to adjust the height is lift that little latch right there, and then this will travel up or down to fit you or your wife's or whoever's torso.
Yeah, I mean, that's nice. That is the quickest of all these.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's just like a little cam lock. It just flips open and you slide it up and down. This isn't bad either, but the hip belt moves. So your center of gravity is always changing where it's not there. You're just moving the shoulders to fit yourself. And then this, there's plenty of packs that have this, like the Deuter, where you gotta, it's like heavy duty Velcro, and they got all
Right.
these pieces of webbing, and you move it up and down, and that's cool. But, Will, you're talking about switching back and forth between you and your wife. I mean,
Right.
you put a Sharpie mark on there where you want it for you, and a Sharpie where you want your wife, and you're done switching it out in a couple seconds. Versus,
Exactly. You have to actually take
Yeah.
something off over there, move it down, find the best, configuration and all the loops. It's not the super easiest thing to do, whereas this, it's lift the lever and go. Here on the Kelty, all you gotta do is pull this tab. It slides up and down the rail, locks into place, which is really easy and convenient, and I think it's one of the most interesting and unique ways I've seen to change it. But the downside is, it is your hip belt moving, which is gonna, like Drew said, move that center of gravity of your load lower, putting more strain on you than if, say, the load is carried up high. Getting back, all 3 packs have a place for hydration, which is super convenient. The sun carrier on this is really good. I like to have the open face here. You'll notice the Kelty has their sunshade that's got this little mesh in the front. The problem is, I notice my son's always sticking his head out of the side of the pack, which really...
The sides are open, so
Yeah.
you just do one of those.
And it really defeats the purpose of a sunshade if he's always sticking his head outside it, because he wants to see clearly and around it, which is why I like the Deuter or the Osprey. The other thing is, both the Deuter and the Osprey, these are stored internally, and you just stick the sunshade down in the pack and you pull it out. Deuter's is similar.
Just folds back.
It's actually probably the easiest sunshade to get out. And then the downside with the Osprey, though, is it does not come with the rainfly, and you're probably going to spend around 18 to 30 bucks. We can throw that link in there too to find a good
Yep.
rainfly that fits this. The other downside, and this is really getting kind of nitpicky about it, is the storage on this. It's not as much as the other 2, and you do have room in here for some things, but really you're gonna need, or I would recommend, if you're doing a long, say, day hike, is someone else to be carrying another pack. Whereas
I mean, you got some room down here, but that's kind of...
you do have this nice big storage compartment. But here's the thing: if, say, you're packing your car and things are tight and you want to fold this whole thing up, you've got to take everything out of here.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a pain. Again, sort of nitpicky, but this whole unit folds down. All you got to do, you'd store this internally, and then you pop these off. These side rails collapse out of the way, and then you just fold the whole unit up. Super easy, very user-friendly pack. I'm guessing we probably should have ended it with it last, as it is the favorite between Drew and I. But, lots of storage. It's got the hip belt. One thing I'd like to see more is a water holder on the hip belt.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my biggest gripes about any of these is I mean, you could fit it, I guess, a bottle.
I mean, you've
here.
got some pockets and stuff, but there's definitely no way to carry a bottle. I mean, you'd end up clipping it here, and then it's swinging around, or something like that. But
Right,
that's
and
kind of a pain.
And I don't know about you or anybody watching, but I like to winter hike. And when I do that, I generally only go bottles, and I actually prefer bottles over a hydration system.
Yeah. Me
So
too.
I like to have it right there on me.
Yeah.
So, but you
Yeah.
could probably get a pocket or someone probably makes it. You can throw on there and do that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they don't even have water bottle holders in the traditional spots. I mean,
Right.
because of the way all the frames collapse, and so normally, here's your hip belt, and you'd normally have a water bottle holder
Reach
here.
back and grab.
But none of these have them, and it's just kind of, to me that's.
It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah,
But
again, I'm not a fan of hydration bladders. Like, I don't use them at all. So that's kind of a.
No, you and I went over this before. We're both kind of lazy, and we
Yeah.
don't want to have to go through the cleaning and maintenance
Yeah,
and
it's-
all that
it's pain.
stuff. The stand is super good on this, I will say. Locks in, locks out of place, so it's good. You can walk away, and your child can be in there pretty safely. It's also got the nice little harnesses for their feet.
Yep.
If they want to move around, take some weight off themselves. I noticed on the Kelty, my son would stick his feet on the inside to kind of push himself up sometimes to rearrange whatever he had going on. So, bringing us to the Kelty, we went over how it's got the slide rail here to move the hip. Super easy, quick, and adjustable. Unfortunately, like I said, if you're adjusting it down on, say, a person with a shorter torso, you're going to be moving that weight displacement down and a little more uncomfortable there. Also, the load lifters, they didn't work
Really.
at all.
At all.
I guess. I would call them load lifters as more as I would say, it's just creating some tension.
Yeah. They didn't do much. And what? Okay, so what Will is talking about, and I know I've talked about it on the channel before, but it's these straps here, and what you want to be able to do is cinch these down so that you have a gap on the back of your traps. You don't want.
You don't want the load carried on your shoulders. You
Right.
want 70%
Yeah.
of the weight on your hips and maybe
Yeah.
30% pulling back on the
Yeah.
shoulders, not down
Your
on
shoulders
your
are just to stabilize the load and to keep it forward.
Right.
It's not to bear the brunt of the weight. You want it here. So if these aren't functioning properly, it's going to give you sore shoulders.
Mhm.
And the Osprey definitely had the best.
by far,
best,
far and away
yeah.
the best load lifting capability.
Yeah.
I was actually impressed by that the most.
Yeah.
One thing I don't like about this is their sunshade. It's can easily come off the Velcro, especially if your kid's pretty rambunctious and working on it, and they get a little bored back there. They might do that, take it off, then you got to pick it up. Easy to lose. I don't really like having things that I could lose because I'm already keeping track of so many things with my son that I don't need just one more thing to worry about. That being said, this is a really well-made pack and still very, very comfortable. Don't get me wrong, none of these packs are dogs.
Oh no, they're all good. It's just I think the Osprey stood out a little bit.
Definitely.
But not in every area. I mean, I think the Kelty has the best storage.
Correct.
Definitely.
Kelty by far has the best storage. Drew will show you. We can zip off this pack, and here you'll find the best water bottle storage out of the three.
I mean, you can't grab them, but someone you're with could grab them.
Exactly.
I mean, unless you're quadruple jointed in your shoulders, I don't think you're getting this. But yeah, and the reason this has these is because this is a whole separate pack.
Right.
So with a little bit of fiddling, you can unzip this thing, and if you're going with your wife or whatever, maybe she could wear this so you guys could split some of the weight, but this thing still looks normal without this on. And so when you buy this, you're basically getting a small day pack and the kid carrier. And it's got some more storage down here as well that isn't in the way of this folding up, which is kind of nice.
And when you do put this pack on, this stand will fold in on itself just by the tension created by you putting on these straps, which I think is really cool because when you're out there in the woods or a hiking trail, I don't really like to have that stand out there poking around that it can catch on something.
Right. And it's nice that these just come up automatically. You don't have to fiddle trying to grab that thing and kind of get it wrangled back in place.
Yeah, as far as that goes, because it also, when you're taking it off, comes out on its own.
Right.
I would rate this my favorite stand out of all the packs. I'd say is that one, just for those features alone.
Right. So stand and storage.
Stand and storage.
This has it.
As far as portability though, I couldn't find, maybe someone out there can find a rainfly for this. I couldn't find one. I don't know if they make one or not, but like I said, I could not find one.
Yep.
So that's kind of a detractor, but I don't know how many people are really going to take their kids out hiking in the rain. But if you do, they're not going to have one. So you got sunshade.
And then the one thing that you said you really didn't like is that this thing won't compress this way.
Right.
The rest of the packs will pretty much fold, not flat, but nearly flat. And this is going to be its dimensions pretty much no matter what.
Exactly. If size is, a big issue for you, this is not your game over here. So, great pack again. Super comfortable despite the load lifters not being great. The sunshade so-so. The kids' cockpit is really actually easy to get them in and out, so that's a bonus. And the stand is fantastic. You're going to find that again around the $300 range as you will the others.
This thing tends to have some more sales though. Sometimes you can find it $275-ish, right in that neighborhood. I mean, so none of these are cheap.
No.
Like really by any stretch. But like you said, I mean, if you guys are willing to take a little bit of time, you guys know I'm pretty budget minded on my channel, and I like to buy used stuff. These are things where you can find them used all over the place because people use them for a year or two.
Yeah, I mean, you go on Craigslist, you're going to find them, especially if you're in a bigger metro area. I mean, we live in the middle of upstate New York, not exactly the mecca of hiking, and I was able to find all three within an hour drive. Of course, whenever buying something on Craigslist, there's always the hope you don't get murdered. But as I'm still alive, I recommend it.
You survived kid carriers.
Exactly, I survived the seedy world of kid carriers. So moving on.
The black market.
Yeah. Moving on, we got the Deuter, and right off the bat, I'm going to tell you one of my favorite things about this is the fact that the sunshade folds back down in here. These being here in front of my son always gives him something to do and distract himself with, which is kind of nice. Yep. The downside is the Velcro here to adjust your shoulder strap. Yep. But at least it's the shoulder strap and not the hips we're adjusting.
Right.
The pockets, this is a great pocket I use all the time for my phone or something like that. Over here, I don't really know what anyone's going to be doing with this, except it's got this cool signal mirror it comes with, which, I mean, you never know, right? So, going on from there, the cockpit, super easy. It's just got a central clipping area right in the, I don't know if you can see it there real well, but yeah, there we go, spread that out. All the clips come into this one area, and it's super easy to get them in and out. The stand, it's not a great stand when you have a kid that's getting a little bigger. Like I said, my son's around 17 months old, and he could push this thing over if he really wanted to. It just goes right on in, and it doesn't take him a lot of effort. So that is something.
So if this is just sitting on the ground and he's kicking around,
he could go over sideways or back.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I would not leave your kid on the ground alone in one of these and step away. Yeah. That is something I would highly recommend not doing. This did come with the rainfly, and honestly, it's self-contained, folds into its own pocket, and it's an extremely good rainfly. I've actually had him out in the rain testing it out. Don't call child services on me. And it's a really well-made rainfly. You'll see the clear shield up here that surrounds the cockpit, and it just goes over the whole thing, just like this. And these tie-down straps here all hook either down on the hip loop or up top here, and then another one goes around there. And this thing is just does an unbelievable job at keeping the rain or the wind out. Really, if you're on a windy day, you can throw that in and then tuck it back up when you're done, throw it in the pocket, and you're good to go. Yep. Really great rainfly, and that came with it. And so then we've got the storage pockets down here, and you can fit easily any kind of little day stuff, snacks in there. It's got a place for the keys up top. And then in here, this pocket is deceivingly large and deep. And even though it folds down, you have all this room right here that I've got some of his clothes in now, diapers, all that stuff can be supported in there. And even though this doesn't seem like much up here, this storage area, we were talking earlier,
Yeah.
and you mentioned you noticed it right away that this is a great area to throw like random things you might have, you know,
Yeah.
on the fly, with your jacket or maybe even a water bottle, anything that you may have, and you're looking for a place
it's
to
got
store
water
it.
bottles sort of pockets on the side. They're not that deep, but I don't know. As soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, that's like, I don't know, from having kids and like wheeling them around malls and anywhere. We took them out. We took my one daughter to Grand Canyon when she was like 10 months old, and it's like the stuff that we had, it was great. Like, you just want to be able to throw stuff in there, whether it's little snacks for them or diapers or just anything. Like, these type of pockets are great. I don't know, for me, they're just really nice to just kind of stash it in there when it doesn't need to be like secured. It's just really easy to get to.
And I use it all the time. I don't even think about it. I just use it a whole lot. So really, you can't go wrong with any of these. If somebody was to give you one of these packs as a gift, you'd be really lucky.
Yeah, that'd be really nice.
If I had to rate them myself, I actually made a little rating chart, and I'll post that on the website. I think this came in, the Kelty came in around a 7.4. The Deuter came in at like an 8.2. And then the Osprey was crushing it, and it was like a high 8, right around the 9 mark. There are some things, of course, you'd love to change or, you know, improve a little bit on each one, but as a whole, they really are great at their job.
So they all do a pretty good job. So basically, you're not going to go wrong.
No,
If you decide to buy one of these three, I mean, nothing's going to be perfect really, but they're all pretty darn good.
Right. I'd go Osprey first, then the Deuter, and then the Kelty, and I'd be happy to have any one of them along with me for a trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Will, thanks a lot, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're looking to go hiking with your kids or take your kids outdoors, I think any of these would be basically a good buy, especially if you can buy them used. I mean, there's a lot of times you can get really good stuff used, and you know, like he said, he paid about a third of what they were new, and none of these are beat up. I mean, the Deuter has the most wear, and I think that's just kind of a function of the color. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And cleaning it, but
And honestly, it's the one I've worn the most.
Yeah, I mean, but it still has a ton of life in it. It's not like none of these are ragged or beat up or anything. So
no, this could last you a lifetime. You could just pass this down in your family and have it for years and years.
or if you just keep cranking out kids.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like,
true.
As long as you're strong enough to carry them around, these will probably last. So anyway, Will, thanks so much for coming on the channel. Guys, don't forget to check his stuff out over at theadventurousgentleman.com, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll have a link down in the description for all of his stuff, so go check him out. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. God bless as always, and I will catch you next time.